Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon to some of you. Happy Tuesday and happy National Quilting Month. I can't believe it's March already, but that does mean we are starting a super fun month of all things quilting. Now don't worry if you are not a quilter per se, because I know we all sort of classify ourselves differently in the sewing world. So let me know what kind of sewer you are. Are you a quilter? Are you a sewer? Are you a seamstress? Are you a sewist? Are you a crafter? Are you an omni crafter? Do you do a little bit of everything? I just consider myself a sewer, or sometimes I will use the word sewist. But I know this is kind of a large debate between people. So let me know how you sort of identify in the sewing world. We will be celebrating all things quilting all month long, but there will be, of course, a little bit of everything for everyone. So if you don't identify as a quilter per se, I'm sure you will find inspiration and, maybe you'll want to give quilting a try. The other sort of term of debate in the sewing/quilting world is what really defines a quilter. Do you piece together fabrics for a quilt top and so you are a quilter? Do you complete the entire quilt, meaning you've done the quilt top, you have made your quilt sandwich, and you do the actual quilting and binding? Do you do quilty projects? Maybe you do patchwork style table runners or wall hangings. I kind of consider all of these things to be quilting, or quilty rather. So you let me know. I know it is a subject of maybe not necessarily debate, but there are different feelings on the subject. A lot of you coming in and telling me, Cindy says, I'm a sewer quilter, I sew bags. Excellent. A quilter who occasionally does sewing projects. Exactly. Okay, perfect. I love it. Keep it coming. Patricia is a quilter through and through. All right, well, this month is for you. So on today's show, I'm going to be talking about a few of my favorite quilting products that I think that you might enjoy as well. I'll also be talking about some different resources we have at Sulky, whether you are a beginner quilter or you've never quilted before and you want to dip your toe in the water, or if you're a middle of the roader and you've done a couple of quilty projects, but maybe you want to dive into something more challenging. And then for the I've done it allers, these are the folks who've been quilting forever, and I have some challenges and some ways to kind of expand your skills even if you are a true expert. So that's what we'll be going over today. I want to start off by telling you that with the launch of National Quilting Month, we have some very good sales and deals going on at sulky.com. So be sure to write down these coupon codes, because the more you spend, the more you're going to save. And this is good until March 8th. So, it feels so weird to say March, but this coupon is good until then. So take note of this, because as you add things to your cart today of items that I will be showing you that I'm sure you're going to want to add to your arsenal of sewing supplies, you do want to take note of these coupons. These are really, really great deals. Okay. I will bring that up a little bit later if you happen to miss that, but you can also go to sulky.com and you'll find all those coupon codes pop up at you as you enter the site. So, first thing I want to talk about is beginners. So, I actually think that a simple quilt is a great beginner project no matter how you identify. If you want to start sewing and you eventually want to get to sewing garments, and that is your mission for having a sewing machine, a beginner quilt can actually get you really used to working on your sewing machine. It can help you understand seam allowances, backstitching at the beginning and ending of seams. A lot of fundamentals can be learned by working on a simple beginner quilt project. You can even create one that is doll size or wall hanging size and complete the whole thing, hang it in your sewing room, and that is your sort of badge, right? I've completed this, I've done this, I can move on to bigger and better things. So I really encourage people who are starting out with any kind of sewing to start with a quilty project. Whether that means you are just taking a 10 by 10 charm square of fabric, putting your batting in between, putting another 10 by 10 square behind it, practicing stitching over the top through all layers. Learn how to do some binding techniques. You can use pre-made binding, self-made binding, or you can do a little binding hack where your back fabric is cut slightly larger than your front, and you simply fold it over a couple of times to bind your entire piece. Those are very easy ways to start, to play around with fabrics, to play around with different thread types, needles, all that kind of thing. I'm going to talk about some of my favorite products to sort of start your stash, or if you already have, like most of us do, a giant stash of things going, this is a great supplement that you can compile so that when you are creating a new quilt or diving into a new pattern, you can grab up these items, set them aside, or have them in a little quilting tote. I will show you this momentarily. How cute is this? And you can start off your new project knowing where all of these go-to items are so that you can easily get started without having to rifle through all of your things, and locate your favorite thread, favorite needles, your go-to supplies. Okay, so let me start off, if my mouse would work. Oh my gosh. Did I run out of batteries? Hold, please. Okay, there she goes. I'm going to start by talking about some of my favorite threads for quilting or quilty projects. This is the 50 weight cotton and steel thread by Sulky. And I pulled this one up because it is a neutrals sampler. And I like to have a lot of shades of neutrals on hand for quilty projects, for piecing in particular. I choose the shade that most closely relates to my fabrics. You can also certainly get a more colorful, color that matches your fabrics better, especially if you plan on quilting with the same thread. This thread can be used for piecing and quilting, but the reason that I really love this weight of thread for piecing projects is because it's so lightweight that when you are creating a seam, I have a little paper piecing project I'm working on right now. When you're creating a seam and you press that seam open or to one side, depending on your school of thought on that, you don't have that little telltale kind of bump that you can feel because of the thread weight. It really just melts into the thread. That's what it feels like after you have sewn your seams. So this is an excellent thread for not only the weight, but also the quality. It's a long staple thread. For those of you who don't know what long staple means, I don't know if I'm going to get too technical with that term, but basically it means that the fibers are longer and you will have less breakage, less lint for things like when you're doing long arm quilting and things of that nature. So it's Egyptian cotton, it's fantastic quality, and I absolutely love it. Not to mention, it comes in this super cute box that you will want to display in your sewing room with a protective covering over the top so that you could still see the thread that's inside, and the cute little labels and colors of spools. I mean, let's be real. I'm all about the packaging. All right, so this is one of my go-tos. Whether you are a newbie, middle of the roader, or I've done it aller, I highly suggest grab up a neutrals palette of the cotton and steel thread, especially while we're having this great sale. Okay, another thread that I like for quilting is Sulky Poly Light. So if you prefer a polyester thread to a cotton thread, Poly Light is a 60 weight thread, so it's even lighter weight than the 50 weight cotton. The larger the number of the thread, the finer it is. So Poly Light is also great for piecing, great for things like foundation paper piecing, because again, you can press open your seams or press them to one side, and your fabrics lay nice and flat. Okay. So Poly Light, another great, this is another great sampler. I linked to it in the description of the post. This has neutrals as well as some brighter colors, a lot of common colors that you can match with different fabric combinations that you choose for your quilting. I also like to use Poly Light in the bobbin when I am doing machine embroidery and I want the thread on the back to match my rayon or poly deco thread that I use in the top in the needle. So same weight as the Sulky bobbin thread, but it is a little bit more like a silk thread. You just don't have to pay that silk price. Okay, so that's another sampler that I think is really great to have on hand. So speaking of needles and thread, we're always talking about matching needles and thread on this program. And please drop your comments in here. I have a great giveaway I'm going to tell you about a little bit later. But for all of you commenting, liking, sharing the post, all of those good things, you are eligible for the giveaway today, and you're going to love it. All right, so keep your questions coming, especially about needle and thread combination, because that's what we're going to talk about now. So this is a Microtex needle. I talked a little bit about this needle actually on last week's program, and a Microtex needle is traditionally used for microfiber type fabrics or laces or delicate fabrics like chiffon, things like that, because it has a very slim, sharp point. I like to use it for some quilting cottons. If you have ever gotten a quilting cotton that has a really great thread count and it feels really silky and soft, you may want to consider using a Microtex needle rather than a universal needle when you are doing your piecing. A universal needle actually has a slight ball point to it. So it's really great for a little bit more stable cottons, or if your cotton has a slight stretch to it. So I like to have both Microtex and universal needles on hand for piecing. I also might use a quilting needle if I'm going to do a quilt as you go, or I know I'm going to quilt this piece myself. I have no problem using a quilting needle for piecing as well as quilting through layers. They work out for me just as well. So I suggest just grabbing up some different needle assortment packs. Now, this is a quilting assortment pack. It has the 75s as well as the 90s. So if you want to quilt with the 50 weight cotton thread, you want your thread to kind of disappear over your fabric, then go with the 75 needle. If you're going to quilt with a heavier weight thread so that the thread really pops off of the surface of your quilt, like a 30 weight thread, you want to go with the 90 needle. So it's great to grab up an assortment pack that has both options. You can use the smaller needle for your piecing and the larger needle for your quilting, depending on the thread weight that you're using. So I showed here the Microtex 7010s because this is what I would use with that poly light or the 50 weight cotton and steel thread. Also a universal. Depending on fabric weight, again, you may want a universal rather than the Microtex needle. And then here we have the smaller universal, which is the 68 size. This might be preferable if you are working with the poly light, which again is even lighter weight than the 50 weight thread. All right, and then there's also the 68 Microtex needles. So you really just want to be mindful of your fabric and thread combination when you're choosing the right needle for your project. All right, Bonnie says she has used these needles and they are great. That's fantastic. And Mary, I'm so glad you asked this question. Is there a cheat sheet to describe needle choices? So at sulky.com, when you head over to, or when you navigate to the needles, where all the organ needles are, you'll click on one of the organ needles. Let's say you're looking at the quilting assortment. There are several additional images for the needle pack, and a couple of those are some really great reference PDFs. Now, I will try to get these somewhere else that is a little more intuitive to find because a lot of people just want the reference sheet. However, that's how you will be able to find it. We can link to that in the comments of the post here. But head on over, click on one of the needles, click on the alternate images, and you will find these great PDFs. You can print them out. You can hang them in your sewing room. They give you general guidelines for if you're using this fabric, you will want this type of needle. Now, needle size has to do with your thread weight. So you need to keep in mind, the higher number of thread, the lighter weight it is. So you need a lower needle. So if I'm using a 30 weight thread, I need a 90-14 needle. If I'm using a 50 weight thread, I need a 60 or a 75-11 or a 70-10 needle, depending on a few different factors. So I know it can be confusing because there is really no definitive use this here now method because everyone's going to have a different sort of recipe for their project. They're going to use a different fabric, or maybe they have an additional interfacing on it. So they've added thread count to that fabric. Or you're going to pair a heavier weight thread with a lighter weight fabric. So there are a lot of different factors, but once you start looking at that PDF and watching more and more of this program, it will start to make better sense to you so that when you are coming up with that recipe for your project, you can say, okay, I know I need a smaller needle because I'm using a lighter weight thread. I know I need either this type or this type because of my fabric choice. Now, if you happen to have both types, you can do some little test stitch outs and see what works better for your chosen stitch, your chosen project, all of those good things. If you only have one type, try it out. It might just be perfect. A lot of the times you could use a this or a that needle and both will work just fine. So it's really just a matter of printing out that reference. A lot of times projects will tell you what type and size of needle to use. We always put that on our free project downloads and our blog posts. I try to remember every time to give you the recommended needle so that you don't have to do all those tests. You can just come on over to where we have done all the tests and let us do that hard work for you. Okay, so that is needles and thread. Now, another thing I wanted to mention is a really great pressing mat. When you are quilting and when you are piecing, rather, there is so much of sew this, press this, sew this, press this. You want to have kind of a station set up so that you can go quickly from your sewing machine to the ironing board and back again. So what I really love about a wool pressing mat is this one is about a 1/2 inch thick. I can put it on my tabletop, and I have not had problems with the heat transferring to my table. Now, to be on the safe side, you could use one of those rotary cutting mats that has a cutting surface on one side and a padded ironing surface on the other, and put your wool pressing mat over the top of that. That way you could create sort of a tabletop pressing area that can be next to your machine, especially if you're doing a lot of small, like half square triangles or something like that, and you really want to assembly line your sewing. You can chain piece a bunch of those half square triangles, bring them over to your wool pressing mat, give them a good press before you move to the next portion of the block or the design. So I really, really love these. I happen to notice we only have 5 left at sulky.com, so get yours while you can. I'm sure we will restock that if it sells out this morning, so keep that in mind. But a good pressing station so that you won't skip that step. You know, I also feel like a lot of beginners, maybe even some more advanced folks, will say, oh, I can just kind of finger press that and move forward. Well, with quilting, you need more precision than that. You really need to make sure that your seams are pressed either open or to one side, depending on your preference, or the pattern may indicate how to press your seam allowances or in what direction. So yeah, these are great for, you know, creating that extra pressing station. But also what the wool pressing mat does is it kind of traps the heat that you're using. So when you're pressing your blocks or your little pieces or your little paper piecing sections rather, it actually presses the wrong side as well because that heat gets trapped by the pressing mat. So you don't have to do one side and then flip it over and do the other. You do one side and it's done. So you're saving yourself a lot of time as well. So these are really great tools to have in your sort of quilting area or any sewing rather. Great for applique work as well. Another thing I want to talk about are rulers. Now, as a quilter, if you're a beginner and you don't have a rotary cutting system, and by that I mean a rotary cutter, a cutting mat, and a clear ruler of some sort, you need to arm yourself with those because you'll be creating a lot of different blocks, trimming seam allowances. They're just really indispensable for accurate cutting. You know, they give you all kinds of different angles and things like that to judge your cutting by, and matching this with your cutting mat really allows you to follow the pattern directions to make sure that everything is squared up so that when you're moving along, you can match up your corners and points, no problemo. So you want to make sure to get a rotary cutting system. But there are also some really great specialty rulers that can really be lifesavers when you're creating different patterns. At Sulky, we have, now this is my favorite ruler for quilting and probably everything that I sew. I happen to have 3 of them. I have one of them at my cutting area, I have one of them next to my sewing machine, and I have another one that I keep in a travel pouch. Just in case I can't find the other 2, I always know that that one is zipped up in a travel pouch. So it's a 1x6 ruler. It's great for gauging seam allowances if you have a larger block that is under the needle, and so you cannot see the indications on your throat plate. You can easily bring this on over and make sure that your seam allowances are remaining consistent. It's also great for various markings. I also love it for paper piecing because as I am moving across a paper piecing pattern, I can move my fabrics aside, put my tiny ruler up against it, get my 1/4 inch seam, slice along there, and continue on with my paper piecing. And I don't have to bring over a much larger ruler and try to, move from my cutting, pressing, and sewing stations with a bunch of cumbersome tools. So I love, love, love this small ruler. If you don't have one, we have them at sulky.com now. It's a great add-on purchase if you're trying to get to that free shipping threshold. Grab that ruler, put it in your cart, just might take you over to the edge, and then essentially you're getting that puppy for free. Okay. There are also other specialty rulers, and I will go over some of those momentarily. Now, if you're interested in a bunch of the products that I've been talking about, we went ahead and compiled this cute little kit. It is called the Beginner Quilter Kit, but of course, you don't need to be a beginner to enjoy all of these great products. It's basically like your go-to quilting pouch where you will have all of these things on hand. Like I said, when you start a new quilting project, you can grab these items and know that you're starting off with a great foundation for the rest of your project journey. So you get in this quilting kit this super cute pouch. Don't you love it? I will talk about this momentarily. You also get the neutrals pack of that 50 weight cotton, but on smaller spools. So these are, let me make sure I'm getting this right, I think 260 yards. Hold please. Usually it's written on the 160 yard, excuse me. And in all of those great neutral colors. So all 6 of these, you get an assortment pack of the quilting needles. You get your trusty KK2000. Now this is great for not only making your quilt sandwich, but also things like applique. If you don't want to use fusible web or you don't have some, you can spray your pieces with the KK2000, put them on your fabric, do your applique stitching, and boom, done. Love it. It's great for so many things. I mean, I use that probably daily, whether it's machine embroidery, applique, quilting, it's the best. And then you also get that great 1x6 clear ruler. So this is an awesome little pack that if you get everything together, you will save some money as opposed to buying them all separately. So, I mean, you just love the pouch anyways, right? I'm going to show you what the pouch will carry. So, can you believe it? It fits that can of KK. Now, I will say that if you do decide to store your KK in here, you're not going to have that much room for a bunch of stuff on the other side. You can fit those flat needles and your ruler on the other side. And then if you want, you can stack some of those thread spools around your can of KK and it will fit. However, what's really great about this little pouch is it also fits a rotary cutter. So sort of standard size, I think that's a 45 millimeter rotary cutter. I had one right next to me, but of course it has gone missing now. So you could fit your rotary cutter on one side, you could fit your little ruler, your needles, and maybe a couple of spools of thread in there. So isn't that great? Now, whether you're using this for traveling or to just keep track of your favorite tools that you use for quilting or for whatever, you can kit up everything you're using for your project you're working on right now. So you can grab, let's say you're using this taupe color of thread, You can put your pack of needles, you can put your little ruler, rotary cutter, or the KK, and you basically have created your own supply kit that goes with that project. Then when the project is complete, you could put all those things away, reload it for your next project, and you're ready to go. So if only I could vow to be that organized, but I think that this is a really great, easy way to organize, the projects that you have at hand. So we also offer this as a separate purchase. If you don't want to get the entire kit, you can just grab the project pouch, and really great. Super cute. I love it. Okay. Let's see. Some people have some questions. Anita's asking, where are your rotary cutters? So we will have one soon on the Sulky site. I will say, just in general, that thank you all so much for bearing with us during this crazy year that we've all been having. With COVID and supply issues due to it and all kinds of things going on, more and more people crafting, which is great. A wonderful, happy problem to have. We are doing our very best to make sure that the items that you're ordering at sulky.com are getting to you. And, we have had some issues with suppliers, or something comes in and it's completely the wrong size. And we've got to turn around, send it all back, wait for it to arrive again. And so I know some of you have been waiting on kits. Some of you wait on a specific thread color. And you're so patient, and we appreciate that so much. We are really, really trying our best to serve you the best way possible. So I just wanted to put that out there, because that rotary cutter question just kind of sparked it in my brain that, there are some things we've run out of, some things that are new that we have tried to order and have been on back order for months. And yes, I really appreciate your patience, and everyone at Sulky. The customer service team is stellar. If you've ever called and gotten a hold of Patty because you've had a question, the care that she takes in each and every one of you to get you the answers that you need for whatever project and whatever product you're working on. And the customer service team at Sulky, just kudos to all of you. They're just fantastic group of people. So treat them well. They're doing their best, and we will get these rotary cutters in the store. But I'm just putting that out there for just a number of things. If you all are waiting on orders, things like that, we are just really trying our best to get them out and to offer you some new things at sulky.com. Monica says she was thinking a rotary cutter would be great in there. Yeah, I think it's actually called a rotary cutter case, and it just happens to fit that small can of KK. So I just love it. I thought it would be a great little pouch to, organize each project that you're working on. So Brandy wants to know, what is the longest ruler for quilting? That is a great question. I have all sizes. I'm trying to think. I think it's a 24-inch. It's extremely long. There may be a longer one than that, but I have a 6x24, I want to say. It's hanging on my wall, so I'm trying to gauge how long it is. And yeah, I use that one quite a bit for binding strips, and obviously just long pieces of fabric. But I really recommend getting a variety of sizes. If you're diving into the quilting world and that this is where you're going to be for a while, that 1x6. I also like this 4-inch. It's 4x14. I like this one. And then I have two larger ones as well. Havel's makes great rotary cutting systems. If you happen to like pink, they have a pink cutting mat, pinkish purplish scissors, and clear rulers. I also like these Omni Grids. which is what is in this Beginner Quilting Kit, because this sort of highlighter effect that you get on the ruler, you can see this really well on light colored or dark colored fabrics. So I like that about those Omni Grid rulers as well. Okay, that would be good for hand sewing or embroidery as well. Don't forget the scissors. Exactly. And Judy says, I would have to include a seam ripper. Very good point. You can definitely fit your little seam ripper in this thing. So don't forget to have that on hand. Okay. Gail says, I am a fan of KK2000. It is amazing how long it lasts because you only need very light spray to hold the fabrics. That is true. A little goes a long way. So if you're looking at this can next to others on the shelf, you will think to yourself, wow, that is super duper small. Well, that's because there's a lot less air in this can. It doesn't need a bunch of air in it to get it going. So there's actually more product in here, and, you know, ozone friendly, more precise spray pattern, odorless, non-toxic. So I love me some KK. Always have. All right. Barbie says, can you use the KK2000 spray with embroidery? Yes, you can. So if you want to hold fabrics on the hoop, let's say it's a fabric that you can't put in the hoop, you can spray your stabilizer with the KK, put your hoop on the machine, place your fabrics or your shirt or your item to be embroidered, and then if you want additional security that your fabric isn't going to go anywhere, you can do a baste in the hoop function and further secure your item or fabric to the stabilizer in addition to using the KK. Now I will say, it is air soluble, so it's going to just dissipate into the air after about 24 or 36 to 48 hours. So if you're doing a large quilt and you have spray basted the top and the back to your batting for your quilt sandwich, and you only got halfway through, or you only did the center of your quilt when you were quilting, then you come back to finish the rest, and guess what? The KK has dissipated into the air, and all of a sudden you either need to spray baste again, or you have to completely remove your quilt from the sewing machine and kind of start over spray basting your quilt. So if that is the case, I highly suggest do your spraying, get your front and your back and your quilt sandwich going, and then add a few pins for extra security. Do a little pin basting on top of the spray if you know there's no way you're going to be able to finish that quilt in one quilting session. So just keep that in mind when you're using the KK. All right. Charlene, I agree. She says, we're missing the quilt shows and the merchant malls during this past year. I know. It's such a shame. You know, I hope that we will get back to this soon. I hope that we will all be able to be vaccinated and enjoy each other's company again soon, because there is really nothing like the fellowship that we all get to experience when we're together. And, you know, things like this are great when we can join together on our Tuesday mornings / afternoons and chat about sewing. But I do miss people actually chatting back at me. So thank you for your comments. And I will pretend that I can hear your voices. So I appreciate that. Sandra says, your webinars are getting me through the pandemic without harming anyone, and your products are worth waiting for. Oh, Sandra, likewise. This is really getting me through as well. So again, love spending this time with all of you. All right, so keep your questions and comments coming. The quilting kit is our giveaway today. So for one lucky person, if you're commenting, liking the Sulky page, sharing, giving me those hearts or thumbs up, all of those good things, you are eligible for that prize. So it's valued at $39.99. It's a great deal for all of these products. So this is our giveaway today. Isn't it a great one? All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is a great project for National Quilting Month. Now, this is our Patriotic Pinnacle Table Runner. This project was designed by Vanessa Wilson, who is also known as the Crafty Gemini. I don't know if you are familiar with Vanessa. Give me a thumbs up if you've checked out her YouTube channel or if you know about her, but she's really great. I would call her an omni crafter. She does everything. She has a little farm or a big farm. She has animals, she gardens, she crafts, she sews, she quilts, she does it all. And she is a great instructor. We hosted her for a webinar a few years ago, and she designed this great table runner. So that one sold out so quickly that we created a patriotic version using her same pattern and putting a twist on it. So what we did was we added little embroideries to some of the block joins on the table runner. So before you make your quilt sandwich, you would add that embroidery, then make your quilt sandwich, and then add additional quilting. You could use invisible thread if you really want that embroidery to be the star rather than the quilting thread. You can use 30 weight cotton if you really want your quilting to pop, or you could do some hand quilting and use the 12 weight cotton petites. So with this kit is another great specialty ruler that we have at sulky.com. This ruler was designed by Vanessa herself. It is called the Slicer Ruler. There's a small one and a large one at sulky.com. The small one comes with this kit. So not only do you get that ruler, but you get the fabrics that you need for the top. Now you will still need some additional fabrics for the table runner, but we wanted to make sure that you got these really cute patriotic prints. They're Riley Blake patriotic prints, stars and stripes, things like that, kind of a modern take. And I know it's only February, but Memorial Day, 4th of July, all that good stuff is going to come here before we know it. So you can grab this up and get started on it and work your way to that holiday. Also, you get 10 spools of sulky rayon thread that goes with a patriotic themed machine embroidery collection. So you can choose to use that pinwheel design that I used for this table runner. You could use the little Uncle Sam hat. You could use the America Peace or Freedom designs. And of course, there is enough rayon thread here and some metallics, as you can see, that you can do lots of patriotic projects, not just this table runner. So I wanted to make sure you were all aware of that too, because purchasing the whole kit saves you a ton of money. If you want to piecemeal and grab your 1x6 ruler, your slicer ruler, and all of these types of things, I suggest you create 2 shopping carts. Get everything in your cart that you want, and then see the difference when you grab everything bundled together as a kit. So it might just be more cost effective to grab everything in the kit, and then you have these great threads, these great fabrics, and everything on hand. So like I said, you'll still need a couple more fabrics. Now for this one, you'll need like a neutral fabric. See that white fabric that I use? It's more of a off-white to pair with all of those great fabric prints. And then you also need some backing fabric, and then whatever fabric you want to use for your binding. And again, like I said at the top of today's show, you could cut your backing slightly larger and wrap it around the front and do sort of a faux binding technique as well. So lots of options, but this is kind of a middle of the roader type of project, but beginners can definitely tackle it as well because you're using this great ruler, and we have an entire webinar already created that you can access at sewingonline.sulky.com. You can find the Patriotic Pinnacle webinar, and you will have an entire video guiding you through the process of creating this project. So even if you're a beginner, we have great resources to get you to the finish line of this table runner. It's a great little quilty project. Here's a little close-up of that cute embroidery that is added. And you certainly don't have to add the embroidery if you want, but it's a great little addition and decorative accent. All right, let me see if I can answer any further questions that have come in. Joanne says, the Beginner's Kit is a perfect gift for my niece. It is a great gift idea. And yes, make sure that you are using your coupon code. Debbie is saying she has an even larger ruler. She has a 2-inch by 36-inch ruler, and that's really great for creating your own bindings as well. Bonita says, please restate the size of the standard quilting needles. Okay, so the needles that come in the assortment pack, and that's what's in the Beginner Quilting Kit, maybe that's what you're talking about, but you get 75s, 75 11s, and 90 14s. So what I really like about this is if you want to piece together your quilt using a lighter weight thread, you will use that 75 11. If you then want to quilt your quilt using a heavier weight thread, like a 30 weight cotton thread, you will use the 90 14. So an assortment pack is really great if that is what you're going to do with your quilt, or if you want to have a couple of different needle sizes on hand for different quilty projects. Okay. Lots of people coming in with their favorite rulers as well. So thank you so much. Okay, sorry. Yes, Lisa is saying I'm waiting for the key fob kit. She ordered it during our webcast a few weeks ago. And yes, again, we had some supplier issues with that kit. I guarantee you it is coming. We are heartbroken that we could not get those kits out to everyone. But this was one of those situations where we received something from one of our suppliers and it was the wrong size. It was the little clips for those key fobs, and we do not want to send you out an inferior product. We do not want to send you out the wrong size of anything. So we had to send all of those back, reorder them, wait for them, and then assemble all of those kits. So there are still a few of those kits kind of in limbo. I do apologize for that. We are trying to get them to you as quickly as possible. So I know you're going to love it when it does arrive, and you will be able to make those for Mother's Day gifts, for so many different cute, fun things. Okay. And yes, be sure that you are writing down these coupon codes. I'm going to put this up while I'm looking through the questions, because there are a lot. Okay. Ellen says, the virtual sessions like these have been a good substitute. Yes, for the in-person learning. I know. Love it, love it. All right. Sorry, it's taking me a while to sift through all the comments. Again, if you are commenting, liking, sharing, all of those good things, you are eligible to win our gift today. And I do pick the winner after about 24 hours to give lots of people some more, time to watch and chime in on the post. So after about 24 hours, I'll pick the winner and you will be notified through Facebook. So you do want to make sure that you have liked the Sulky page. That way I can notify you through Facebook and say, hey, you're a winner. Here's how to redeem your little gift. So keep in mind, that's how I will be reaching out to you. If you get a random Facebook message, it's probably because you're the winner. All right, lots and lots of comments. I don't know if I can sift through them, and lots of you are loving Crafty Gemini as well. So that's great. Charlene is loving the Table Runner by Vanessa and the kit too. So make sure that you grab that up. That fabric is so cute. I love me some Riley Blake fabrics. There are so many fabric companies that I love. Charlene loves it too. All right. Sharon is not finding the Patriotic Pinnacle kit. I believe I linked to it in the description of today's post. So if you are not seeing, oh, and yes, our good pals at Sulky have put the link right there. So thank you very much. But if you cannot see everything in the description of today's post, hit that little see more button, and then you'll see my giant post for today that hopefully includes everything that I will be talking about. Okay, and make sure if you are grabbing up that kit, head over and register for the webinar. The webinar was live a couple of years ago, but it is always available on demand. It's a free webinar. That's where you will get the instructions and everything you need for the table runner. So if you want to use your own fabric, you can head over to sewingonline.sulky.com and you can get all the instructions for that table runner. But I'm sure you will want that specialty ruler. It's going to make your life so much easier, plus that super cute fabric. So June is asking, does the embroidery pattern come with the kit? Yes. So with that kit, when you get your 10 spools of rayon thread, you get a download code to get all of those embroidery designs. So not only will you get that pinwheel, which I actually edited, and the instructions for that are in the webinar as well. I edited it out so that I only used the pinwheel portion of that design. I did not stitch out the stick or the lettering that comes on the side of it. I think it says America the Beautiful. You could certainly stitch the entire design if you prefer. But yes, you will get 10 spools of rayon thread with the fabrics and that specialty ruler, as well as all of those embroidery design downloads. So lots and lots of stuff. Okay, so Debbie's asking, where can I get the fabric in the table runner by the yard? So we did put some links on the kit page at sulky.com for the fabrics that I used for the binding as well as the backing of the featured table runner. But as you probably know, in the quilting world, fabric is here today, gone tomorrow. A lot of the times you cannot get that same yardage. They only do limited runs these days. So if it is gone, you can certainly search for other patriotic fabric prints. That's what makes this kit so great, is we grabbed up so much of that fabric when it was available a couple of years ago. So, and cut them into the needed, I think they're charm squares. So you will still get that if you grab up the kit, but I don't think it is still available by the yard. You could certainly head on over to the links on the kit page. It'll say, you know, recommended fabric for the backing and binding, and you can see if it's still available. My hunch is that it is not, only because of I will love a fabric and it's honestly 3 months down the line, I can't find it anymore. All right, Debbie is saying, if you use invisible thread, what do you use in the bobbin? I use invisible thread in the bobbin, and for the most part, and I will slow my machine speed by at least half. And when I'm winding the bobbin slowly, I only wind it about a third of the way full. The reason you want to wind it slowly is so that you don't get any undue tension that you don't want in your little bobbin. And only a third of the way. I don't really know the school of thought on that, but I think it just ensures that the thread stacks nicely on top of itself throughout the wind. And that's just sort of rule of thumb that I have learned. So I definitely use invisible in the bobbin. That way The back of my quilt looks like the top of my quilt, and that invisible thread just does what it's supposed to and disappears on either side. Okay. Lots of you are saying you're so eager to get your key fob kit. Yay. Janet is saying, can you get the embroidery designs without the kit? So those designs come with that rayon thread palette. And we sell that thread palette separately, but we do not sell the designs separately. So if you only want the thread and designs, you can grab that as a separate product for sure. All right. So I'm going to go next into sort of, if you're an I've done it aller, or if you just want to take your quilting to the next level, we also have another kit at sulky.com. This is our Quilters Stabilizer Bundle. So if you have never used stabilizers for your quilting projects, you will be amazed at how stabilizer allows you to get more precise with your seaming techniques, allows you to have a better grip while you're quilting, literally stabilizing your fabrics. If you have a block that has a lot of seams, where maybe you have a lot of half square triangles or things cut on the bias, because as we know, once you cut something on the bias, suddenly your fabric, which was a woven, is now stretchy. Something like that, stabilizer will help tame those fabrics, tame those blocks for adding borders, for your actual quilting process, and all those types of things. And you can add stabilizer without making your quilt stiff. It will still have a nice hand. You can still cuddle up with your quilt. You can still wash your quilt. And the stabilizer will actually help with the longevity with your quilt's ultimate life, lasting longer throughout lots of washing and wearing. All right, so this bundle has a pack of paper solvi. For any of you who like to do foundation paper piecing or you've never tried it before, paper solvi is a wondrous thing. We're going to talk about that a lot this month. Paper solvi is a very, very lightweight paper. You will print your foundation paper piecing pattern directly onto the paper solvi. Build your block by using your paper piecing techniques, and then you can moisten a little Q-tip or cotton swab, run it along your seam lines, and lift the paper away. You don't have to tug on your paper along the seam line to try to get it out, which sometimes results in a popped stitch, things of that nature. If you have a very intricately paper pieced project, like this one I'm working on right here, you can see lots and lots of little seams coming together there. I can simply rinse the entire paper solvi away. I don't have to moisten seam lines. I don't have to pick things out of little tiny small areas. I can rinse the whole thing away and the paper solvi will dissolve. I can also leave it in my entire quilt top, do my quilting, bind the quilt, and then throw the quilt in the washing machine. Paper solvi will dissolve. Now, that being said, make sure that your quilt will be washable and that you have pre-washed your fabrics prior to doing that, if that's the method that you choose. So, comes with some paper solvi, comes with some Tender Touch. Tender Touch is that very silky, fusible stabilizer that you will find on the backing of some embroideries. Even if you have, let's say, a purchased fleece jacket and it has a logo on it, you will see on the other side of that logo a little piece of fusible stabilizer. That is what Tender Touch is. So we use it a lot of times in embroidery to cover up the backside of stitching, especially in a onesie or a t-shirt where you don't want sort of that scratchy thread against your skin. The Tender Touch is fused after embroidery is complete to give you a barrier between your skin and the backside of that thread. However, Tender Touch is also great for either adding thread count to a very lightweight fabric that you are going to quilt or create small pieces out of for piecing. It is also great for fusing on the back of an intricately pieced block. Because the fact that it is so lightweight, silky, and soft, you can keep it with your quilt forever. And like I mentioned before, wash it, cuddle up with it, all of those things, and it's going to be nice and pliable for you. Also included is soft and sheer. I like to add soft and sheer to the back of quilts that have applique to give me a little bit more stability while I'm working on the rest of the quilt and throughout the applique process. And then what else? Totally Stable. Totally Stable is a fusible, but it's also a tearaway. So you fuse it with a very light iron, not a super duper hot iron, because you still want to be able to tear it away after stitching is complete. But that's really great for applique applications as well. And you get a really long or wide roll of the Totally Stable so you can use it for larger quilting projects. And then I have to make this larger because I can't remember this other tearaway that is included. Oh, Sticky Fabrisolvi, of course. So Sticky Fabrisolvi I like to use for quilting when I am actually going for a more intricate or a faux free motion quilting design. So what I will do is finish the entire quilt top, make my quilt sandwich, and then I can take a piece of Sticky Fabrisolvi, put it directly on the surface of my quilt top. I can draw on it. I can print sheets of it. I can create my quilting pattern that I'm going to follow with my needle and thread. And then I can stitch through all layers of the quilt, including that Sticky Fabrisolvi. I can do free motion style or I can do straight stitching style. And then when my quilt is complete, it will wash away completely. No one will know about my free motion hack. So if you're intimidated to try free motion quilting because you're not sure where your hands are going to take you while you are guiding your quilt under the presser foot, use the Sticky Fabrisolvi and follow the lines that you've either printed or drawn yourself. And then you won't stray away from your lines. You won't have intersecting quilting lines that you'll have to pick out and redo. So this is our Quilters Stabilizer Assortment Bundle. And again, buying the bundle is going to save you a chunk of change rather than grabbing up all of these stabilizers separately. So I knew I was going to talk about all of these stabilizers this month. So we put together a bundle for you so that you would have all of those at hand. All right. Another thing, if you want to challenge yourself in the quilting space, these are our beautiful Birthstone quilt bundles. Now these bundles will create a 17-inch square block. Each one goes with a different birthstone to represent all of the 12 birthstones in the year. So I am showing off the March birthstone because we are heading in, well, we're in March, and it happens to be my birthstone as well. My birthday is at the end of this month. So with this kit, you will get this pattern. These are designed by MJ Kinman. We have several webinars with MJ, as well as a video cast that we did with her in January. So if you are on the sewingonline.sulky.com education site, you can grab those webinars, put them in your library, watch them at your leisure, grab up your favorite birthstone kit, and you can be on your way to creating a beautiful gem with fabric and thread. So these are, it's basically foundation paper piecing, but you're actually cutting out your pieces and placing them on the fabric right side during construction. So if that intrigued you at all, you'll want to watch our great legacy webinars with MJ Kinman, and you will understand her quilting process. We have one webinar called Wild Motion Quilting, and that is her method for quilting these blocks. We have another one that is piecing, all about how these blocks come together. And then we have another webinar with her that showcases her Elizabeth diamond quilts. And those are large scale quilts that feature one big diamond. And they come in lots of different colorways. Your fabric pack is included. All your beautiful sulky threads for quilting. She actually recommends changing out your thread color for each portion of the design that you're quilting, so that your thread color doesn't interfere with the value of your gem as you're creating it. So it is a challenge. I challenged myself. I did a bunch of quilt-alongs or sew-alongs for piecing some of these birthstone blocks, and those are available at the Sulky blog, so you can check those out as well. And the more of them I did, the more I felt like, okay, I am a quilter now. I could consider myself a quilter. I'm putting on that hat because I just felt so accomplished after finishing these blocks. So you could create all 12. We do have a big mega super bundle of all 12 patterns, all of the fabrics that you need, all of the threads that you need in a slimline container. So you could create all 12 blocks and create a really pretty quilt that showcases all of the gems. Or you can grab up the birthstone that correlates to your birth month and work your way through that gem. And as you become more confident, you're going to want that Elizabeth diamond. I'm telling you. So some of you are asking about the coupon code. I'll show you that in just a moment. Oh, whoops. And here's that pattern. We also just offer the pattern. But again, if you want to create this project, it might be more cost effective if you just grab up the full kit. You'll see what a huge savings that is once you go to grab the pattern. So just wanted to give everybody a challenge out there. So we had our beginner quilting kit for those of you starting out, or for those of you who just want a cute project pouch to create with all of your quilt projects and re-up on some of these great things that you always need for quilting, like your neutral threads and your quilting needles and that go-to ruler. See, I have so many of them. I love them. All right, so some of you have asked about our next video cast. I've been talking about this for a couple of weeks because, as you know, I cannot keep anything a secret, and I just tell you everything. This is our Boho Bonnie Bag video cast, and we will actually be putting this on next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I will do the Facebook Live at noon as usual, and then we will go into the video cast on our education platform. So I am the instructor. I will be showing you how to add embroidery, different types of embroidery, whether it's hand embroidery or machine embroidery, different areas of the bag to add embroidery, perfect placement techniques, all of those fun embroidery techniques. And then I will take you through the bag construction. So this is a brand new Sally Tomato pattern. We partnered with Sally Tomato to create this really great go-to tote bag, and you're going to love it. It has so many professional finishes, features that beautiful cork fabric that we are all loving, and it's just trending like nobody's business. You can add the embroidery to the upper edges. We also have another design that goes along the front pocket, and it gives it that sort of boho vibe. So the bag is made out of a really high quality canvas fabric, and everything is included in this kit. The canvas, the cork fabric, the lining fabric, the zipper tape. I will be showing you how to create 3 zippers using a zipper by the yard, so you will understand that technique as well. We will be using purse feet, magnetic closures, all kinds of things that are going to make this bag a designer original. All right? So, super fancy. Loving it. You can see my bags hanging behind me. I'll show you those in a minute. But here is one of the large scale embroideries up close. And the embroidery is done with sulky 30 weight cotton thread. I know. You can do embroidery with cotton thread. And the super heavyweight nature of this thread means that it really pops off of the surface and has great texture and dimension, but also it gives sort of a handwork look to something that is done by machine. So I just really, really love how this design turned out. We will also be going over some handwork techniques. So if you do not have an embroidery machine, you will still be able to add embroidery to your bag. And like I said, I will be showing you some different areas of the bag that you can embroider, and placement techniques and hand embroidery techniques and all of those good things. So I do want to mention that these kits are already going fast. We haven't even had the event yet, and the kits are going fast. So speaking of supplier issues, I know all of you are loving this purple color. This is the coneflower color, and I did handwork on the front of this one. So that is all done by hand using the 12 weight cotton petites thread. So if you choose the hand embroidery kit, you will get different thread and different stabilizer to use for your project. So this is the coneflower purple color, and everyone has loved it so much, we thought we better order some more purples. Well, guess what? They're out. I know. However, we found another beautiful purple color, and we have added that to the shop. There are still some coneflowers left, so if you want that lighter purple color, get it while you can. However, if you love the purple, we are offering an eggplant kit. It is on the site right now. Let me show it to you. So it's just a slightly darker purple, and it looks fantastic with the embroidery. I dare say it may even match that purple thread even better than the coneflower. So it looks really dark in the picture I just pulled up, but it is a very comparable purple. So if you're super into the purple color, you will still be able to get it just a shade or two darker. But yes, there are still some coneflowers. I just wanted to mention they are selling through fast. So lighter purple, darker purple. And then we also have this beautiful green, which goes so great with, you know, springtime coming up. It matches with all of the greens in the embroidery. And I want to just show you what we will be talking about a lot with the embroidery instruction is matching up this pattern perfectly along the side seams. So I'm pretty proud of how this came out, and I came up with a really great method to ensure that everyone's going to be able to match theirs exactly like I did. So I think that looks really cool along the outer edges of the bag. If you wanted additional embroidery, you could add that other design right here as well. You could make it smaller. If you only have a 4x4 hoop, make the design smaller and stitch it up here. There are lots of different things we will be going over next week, so go ahead and grab the video cast at sewingonline.sulky.com. Register today and join us next week. It's $5.99 to attend, but for your $5.99, you get all of these great embroidery design files, both for machine embroidery and for hand embroidery. So however you want to create your bag, or if you want to use those designs on a different project, you can get them for only the cost of the video cast, which is $5.99. So normally they would cost $24.98 if you bought those collections. So it's a great deal to just grab the video cast if you're interested in those designs. And you can download them today. They are available for download on the education site, and they will be in your library, and you will be able to view the video cast at any time. So if you can't join next week at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, never fear. You will be able to watch it when it is over, and everyone is eligible to win our 4 fantastic door prizes. These are high-value door prizes that we will be giving out during the event. Whether you can attend or not, you are eligible to win. So we like to extend that courtesy for our paid video casts so that it's kind of like buying a lottery ticket, right? I think you guys are not only going to love the door prizes, but you're going to love the embroidery instruction. And even if you don't get a kit, you will be learning lots of techniques about bag making, about embroidery, about working with bag hardware to elevate your bag projects. If you've never worked with purse feet or magnetic snaps or made your own straps, you're going to get a lot of techniques under your belt and be able to tackle other bag projects with ease. So Pat is loving the zippered pocket on the front of the bag. I know, it's almost like a little bit of a gusset or something. Not really, but so what goes on is, giving you a sneak peek again, you have a little bit of a cork tab or end to your zipper, and it actually gives the pocket a little bit more dimension. So it pops it out a little bit so that you can fit lots more stuff inside. And you don't have as much stress on the corner of your pocket when you're taking things in and out of it all the time. So that cork end of your zipper really serves a lot of purposes for the bag. So absolutely love it. And as you can see, my cute little purse feet. I love purse feet, especially when you have a nice, expensive, beautiful fabric on the bottom. You don't want that getting mucked up. So purse feet to the rescue. And it just adds another element of high end, another element of professional. No one is going to believe that you made this, and they will be so impressed when you tell them that you did. All right, so I hope that you all enjoyed today. I will be putting these coupon codes up again so you can jot them down when you are making your orders. Do not forget to put in your coupon codes based on the amount of money that you are spending. So, whoa, excuse me. I'm dropping things. All right. So thanks 20, thanks 25, and thanks 30. So grab up those kits, grab up your video cast kit, head on over to sewingonline.sulky.com and browse all the webinars, webcasts, and video casts that we have there. Fill your cart up with some Sulky education. And I will join you next time again for So What in the morning/afternoon. And then we will head on over to the education platform and start the course. It is, well, the video cast. It is 90 minutes. I might go over because I have a lot to talk about. So again, if you cannot join on time or for the whole thing, just know you can come back later, fast forward, pause, rewind, rewatch. Anything that you missed, you can go back to when your kit arrives, because you do not need your kit on hand. You can get your kit today. You can get your kit the day of the event. And when it arrives, you can rewatch parts of the video cast as you're working your way through the pattern. So keep all of those things in mind. All right, so I guess I have talked enough today. Again, all of you commenting, liking, sharing, engaging with the post today are eligible for our great giveaway, which is the brand new Beginner Quilters Kit, only $39.99. So one of you will be winning this around tomorrow. Yay. All right, so enjoy your I Love Quilting pouch. I hope you all get one today. Super fun. We can all match when we see each other in person. And I'll see you all next time.